Hi, I'm a tattooer. I've been taking many takes because I'm not getting this camera level enough. Nonetheless, we are going to do a video today that I'm pretty excited about. It's going to be a self-care video because a lot of us don't really practice self-care, I feel like, the way that we should, and sometimes we need a little bit of a reminder, as well as, especially with tattooers, I feel like a lot of us don't do self-care, and our bodies are our vessels to tattoo people and do our job and do the things that we love and give and heal others. So I think it's a good idea to do a lot of self-care. Oh, apparently this isn't gonna work. Okay, I think you're far more secure. I have an Octo Buddy. This is the first time I'm really using it. Thanks, Kiko, for the idea of the Octo Buddy. Anyways, nonetheless, so let's do some self-care, as well as we're also gonna talk tattoos, and that's gonna be tattoo opinions that I hold, and I think it'd be an interesting discussion and open up all sorts of different topics, tattoo related, that we can all chit-chat about, and I would love to hear you guys' opinions. So anyways, first, I think a lot of people are surprised by how much hair I actually have, because I've got quite a lot of it, but we are going to put it up. We're going to do some skincare first, because skincare is important and I want my skin to look nice and fresh and clean, as per my job. So that's one of those things, and I need to get good at that, and I'm trying to figure out a good system. So I'll show you all the products I'm using and some of my opinions about it and all that type of jazz while we go on to our tattoo opinion stuff. I've got a fair amount of different opinions, and I feel like I overall kind of fall in line to both very traditional values in some capacity as well as fairly modern ones. I think I am a somewhat mix, and for myself, I think my opinions are pretty fair, but other people might feel completely different, and that's the entire point. So nonetheless, let's start. Going in first, just because it feels good to do the micellar water just all over my face. So tattooing wise, first off, if you haven't been here before, I am a tattooer. I've been tattooing for about 5 years. If you are a tattooer, you might recognize that that's not all that much time. And if you might not know much about the industry, that might feel like a fair amount of time, but kind of in tattoo terms, not really. 5 years is so new. It's like being a doctor, and not to put ourselves on the same pedestal, but a doctor has to go through a whole lot in order to finally get to that point of, I'm a real doctor, and people can really trust them and feel like they have the best interest in mind. Sometimes it takes a minute for you to get to that point, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is my 5 years is kind of that moment where I'm starting to become a person in the industry, sort of, kinda. So nonetheless, I hold my opinions, and I'm allowed to hold my opinions that I share, but if you're a tattooer that's been around for a really long time and might have, other opinions about what I have to say, I would love to hear it, because I want to learn from those that have been around longer than I have and are more educated than me, because I think that that's a beneficial thing. Also, by the way, I did just wake up. I do have one of these guys. It's only halfway full because I started it yesterday, because these are a little strong for me, so I have to be a little careful. As well as my big boy water. It's all the way filled up, so we're starting the day on the top of the water, and I'm gonna go through as many of these as I can because I need it. So if you know me, I've had a lot of skincare stuff, but this is my tiny old Morphe bag, because I got all sorts of new stuff from Kiehl's, and a bunch of these are samples, so I'm still working through my samples and trying to figure out what I like, and then I'm going to buy the good big ones at some point. But we are going to start with all of my Kiehl's stuff because I want to really use this and figure out if I like them or not. But Ultra Facial Cleanser, I like this brand because it's all pretty legit, seemingly at least, and pretty natural, and I am definitely one of those kind of granola-y natural girlies. I have been growing and learning and changing a whole lot and going more of the natural route for a lot of stuff. I eat everything I try to very organically and good quality and local and all of that jazz, and I try to eat a lot of fresh stuff and real things because I think it's good for people, as well as I think it's just going to continue my life, and I'm trying to get healthier and trying to grow every day. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into some of the tattoo opinions. So number one, I guess I won't number these. So first one, tattoos I think that mean something are so much more exciting to do, so much more fun to do, but I also don't really care if you want to get something that isn't particularly meaningful. I understand not wanting to get meaningful stuff. If you see something that's cool, great, fantastic, love it. I think that everything will gain meaning at some point, and I think that that's great and fantastic. For me, my Tratty Roses didn't particularly mean anything aside from I wanted Tratty Roses and I had to cover up my previous roses. If you were here for my last video, there you go. Nonetheless, yeah, I wanted to get different roses on top because on the same arm, because I wanted more roses. And it's a very traditional symbol, so I thought it made sense for what I wanted, but the meaningfulness of it is it's a Tratty tattoo, and I'll always remember that tattoo because it was so Tratty. But they're roses, so they have meaning to me because it's my birth flower. I don't know. So when I think about it a little bit more, there's a lot more meaning attached to it than what I previously kind of selected it for. So because of that, I think everything does have meaning in some way. It'll make you either look back on a specific time period when you got it, or where your brain was, or what was happening at the time, or maybe over time that thing you have is now just connected to you for some reason. Maybe you're seeing these specific flowers all the time now and it has some happy meaning for you or whatever. Everything can have meaning, but nonetheless the ones with the really true meaning that are made for the meaning are really special to me. They're so much more special. It's the same thing with scar cover up for me, is like they're just so much more special to do, and they're more exciting. I don't know. But I'm definitely not one to just like shit on clients that don't want to get anything that's like specifically special. I'm always more excited when I get an inquiry that is for something meaningful, and it's like, oh yay, cool, hell yeah. I just want to do more meaningful stuff, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, meaning is just more cool, and it makes me feel like my job is doing something more special, and I just like being able to utilize everything about tattooing that I enjoy and being able to do that. Yes, by the way, it is difficult to clean my face with all of this metal in the way. It's one of those things I bet people ask. At least I've even asked when I've gone to like facials and stuff. It sounds difficult, and it kind of is, especially with 3 different chains on my face. Also, by the way, I'm just doing like masks and cleaning type of skincare right now, because then after I do a shower, then I'm gonna come back and do like all of my moisturizer and all that type of stuff, just because I don't want that to like go away in the shower. That feels counterproductive, so that's what I'm doing. So one of the other things, tattoo history. As someone that tattoos, and this is specifically more or less related to those that tattoo, so if you do tattoo, I think that it is an incredibly important thing to learn the history and study that and appreciate it. And I don't think enough people really do it. Enough to the extent that I feel like it's really worth it. Maybe it's just because I like it so much. Maybe I'm just so into history, but I think it's really made me appreciate my job so much more, looking into the history and understanding how the folks of the past have done it in so many different cultures. Even indigenous cultures in Utah used to do it thousands of years ago, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. It's like, it's in my state, it's in my area. That's beautiful and fantastic, and I love that type of stuff, and I really appreciate it. And it gives me a more special outlook on tattooing entirely, and I don't think enough people have learned about this stuff, and I think it would be a really good thing for everyone to learn. And I think a reason why is because we don't have that much education easily on the forefront to be able to see these types of things. It took me a minute and suggestions from people to find even Instagram pages that specifically study these things. It's hard to find the information online for the most part, because even like I'm into ancient Egypt stuff, there's not that many pictures of these actual tattoos. So I can't really see these things all that much. So it's hard to find the information on it, but if you can, it's a really good idea, and it's so cool, and I just love it. I don't know. So I've got like a list of my little notes for this, and I thought that my next one was slightly humorous to have when I realized that this is going to be the next part of my skincare. So I'm gonna look a little silly. Nonetheless, so spirituality and tattooing is something that's very important to me. That's kind of the basis of who I am as a tattooer. It is so incredibly important to me. It's if I could only do tattoos that were somehow connected to spirituality in some sense for some part of the equation, that's the one thing I would do. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing. With that said, I think a lot of people don't really focus on the spirituality of tattooing in the way that I think could make it so much more special. And with that said as well, of course, not everyone is spiritual. I think in a lot of ways, tattooing is very much a counterculture, especially in the US, and especially in a place like Salt Lake, because we have got such a unique spiritual climate where we've got a ton of one specific faith, and that creates a very big possibility of a lot of counterculture, and we have a lot of that in Utah, and I think that that's a beautiful and fantastic thing in a lot of capacities, because we have a lot of different people and diversity, different opinions, ideas on different things and how we do stuff, and I think that's fantastic. And I am so not a person to ever be anti-spirituality. In some senses, I think if you are an atheist, I completely understand. I think in a lot of ways I can fall in line with that idea as well. But I am also very spiritual, and I am very much a person that has my own belief system and something that makes me happy. And because of that, I connect my spirituality a lot to my job, my craft, my tattooing. And I think that's because it's always been there, you know, like tattooing has always been a spiritual practice for so many different types of people and cultures over time, that I really appreciate that side of it and want to connect to those things. But I also respect why others want it to be fully, what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the separation between secularism? Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. It's a weird sound that just happens sometimes. Nonetheless, secularism. I appreciate secularism in every single sense of the word. I just love the spirituality of tattooing, and I feel like other people should look into it perhaps more. And maybe if they're spiritual, they can find that connection to it. I just wish that there was more magical practice in tattooing. Doesn't have to be everyone. It doesn't have to be a majority of people. I just want a little bit more, at least, because like for me, I want to be able to like easily find some tattooers that could do some spiritual tattoos for me in that type of capacity, and I feel like it's really hard to find. I don't know. And I just wish that there was more of it. That's all. Oh god, so this is one that might be a little bit scary to say, but probably not really. But I've got some in here that I'm afraid to speak on the internet a little bit, because it's been a minute since I've talked about it, and I've gotten a lot of hate in the past about it. If you've been around on TikTok land, I've spent a lot of time on the TikTok land. That's where I got a majority of my following previous, and that's where some of my bigger of the videos were. But nonetheless, first topic, before we get on to the really, really scary ones, I think medical practice is very similar to tattooing in the capacity that I think tattooing is a type of medical practice. Similar to being an esthetician, I think that they have to focus on a lot of different medical stuff, as well as we do, and all sorts of different jobs have to, and we deal with a whole lot more bodily fluids than some other people do. We can deal with kind of a large sum of blood sometimes, and because of that, I think we are hitting a point where we're more medicalized than anything, because we're dealing with some serious business. And because of that, I think it should totally be respected and seen essentially as a medical practice, because it is that important. We are dealing with people's inner stuff. We are dealing with the possibility of infections. We are cutting open skin. We are getting up and in there with different products that are going to go into the body. That is a big deal, and it should be respected and treated as a medical procedure, because that's how we do it safely. And I think because we don't see it as a medical practice, I think that's why there's so many scratchers. I'm saying that almost like it's a slur, and I guess it's an insult of sorts. But those that don't tattoo professionally in their homes for funsies reasons, or not to be safe, or those that don't care about safety, that type of thing can happen so much easier because people don't respect this as a serious, actual big deal. I wouldn't want to go and get Botox by some random person in their basement because they bought a thing of it online, you know, in the same capacity. A little similar and a little scary. Tattooing is a very big deal. Should be treated as such, because it is, and it's always been a big deal. It's very meaningful, it matters, and it is very dangerous if done wrong. I get really passionate about this type of thing, I promise you, I really do. Also, I forgot, I was trying to like lead you through this. This is what I was just using. It's a sulfur mask. I think I like it. Other people told me not to use it, but like, I bought it, so I'm gonna use the whole thing because this thing is expensive. Skincare is so much money. But nonetheless, I just used this. I want to do a couple more masks today because I kind of want to go all out and do a bunch of facial stuff. Anyways. Oh, also, I'm not gonna record like the entire process, but I am gonna brush my teeth really quick. Ooh. And then at some point I'm gonna do oil pulling, but I'm not really gonna show you guys that either because I can't do anything and can't talk. So anyways. To our next point, just before I say anything more, I think spontaneity is great. I think sudden, random, fun, silly tattoos can be a very enjoyable time, and I think that that is great, and I think that they have extra meaning depending on when it is, and that can be fantastic. But I also do think that it's a good idea sometimes for us to remember that tattoos are very much permanent and they're not going anywhere. They're not. I think sometimes, me included, we all do, think tattoos are a very fun and exciting time and really enjoyable to do and have done, and sometimes it's really easy to just get little silly guys just for fun, and sometimes we need a little bit of a reminder that they're not going anywhere, and sometimes we have to consider our options because there's just so many times where I'm going to tattoo something and there's like one tattoo that's just a little bit in the way, and it always ends up being something that like is really silly that the person doesn't really like, and it's always like, if only. Or sometimes those are just the silly little dumb ones that we just kind of regret sometimes. So it's, I don't know, sometimes we just have to be thoughtful, and we do just have to remember that this is a big commitment. They aren't going anywhere unless we really choose, for the most part, for them to be gone, or you get in a really bad motorcycle accident, or get an amputation, and that's about the ways that tattoos tip out for the most part, unless of course you decide to get laser or something of that like. But yeah, oh, I got that not where it was supposed to. This is a peel off mask. It's one that I'm just using because I have it and I want to utilize it, and this is like the last peely off thing that I have, which I don't think is great for you. You shouldn't really do it, but like, I have it, so I'm gonna utilize it. Do as I say, not as I do. Look into your skincare, make sure you get the good stuff, all that jazz. But I don't know, tattoos are kind of a big deal. Let's think about it sometimes. Let's think about our options. Let's make sure we get things placed properly. That's another thing, is like, even not the spontaneity of a tattoo, but like sometimes we're so excited to get it that when we look at the placement, we're like, oh yeah, that's probably fine, that'll work, and then it doesn't. It's not as great as it could be. One of those things that do matter, because if you don't get a good placement, don't get the right size, that type of thing, oh, it could just be a regret forever. It's one of those things, and I tend to tell people this, especially when they're having a hard time figuring out sizing, and this is 100% truthful. I don't think I've had anyone that I've tattooed, any of the tattoos I've done, ever come back to me and say, I regret going this big. I wish I went smaller. It's always that people, so far, have come back thinking, wow, I wish I went bigger on this. And usually they're right, they should have. And that's what I tell people, because most of the time people do wish that it was a little bit bigger, because it's just better that way. A tattoo can be better when it has the best size, and matches what you want. So with that said, it's a note maybe to have in the future. Sometimes bigger is better with tattoos, and they'll age better, and they'll just simply do better. It's just a point, I'm just saying. So I'm going to take a pause and wait for this to dry, and then we will come back when I remove it, because I feel like if I talk too much in this video with this very shiny mask, I'll look a little silly and a little doofy, and and not as taken seriously. So I am going to wait it off. Goodbye. Oh, and also we're gonna go all out. I can use the waxers too. We're gonna get all ready for Valentine's Day today, together, you and me. Okay, this is taking forever, so I thought I would do another one. As well as look at this guy. Look at how cute he is. Look at how excellent he is. What a good guy. Tattooing being a trend is very concerning to me and a not awesome thing. Tattoos altogether being a trend can cause a whole lot of issues, as well as certain styles and different types and whatever. With that said, I worry about this because I keep seeing, like, say those videos of people that are like, oh my god, I don't like these tattoos in my wedding dress, I don't look like a clean girl, or all the clean girl stuff. All of that to me, it just screams like, you got tattoos as a trend, not so much that you truly enjoy them or really want them, because, like, if you want to look tattooed, you'd want to always look tattooed because you have them. You know, it's like they're there, they're not going anywhere. That type of deal. He's kind of just like right here now, halfway on me, but he doesn't want to leave. Oh, now he's sitting. My leg is just up, one leg, supporting this guy. What a dude. Anyways, I don't know, it concerns me. It's not a good thing. It makes tattooing look really weird. It makes it look really strange to me in a way that doesn't really help the tattoo community look good or mature as a community, or like we have the best interest in mind of people. It doesn't help any of that. It kind of waters down what we are and who we are, because people just want to get tattoos because tattoo equals cool. Tattoo doesn't equal cool unless you make it cool. You know, you have to be cool to make tattoos look cool. That's why my tattoos are pretty reasonable, because I'm pretty reasonable. I'm getting tired with him right here, but he's really liking this, so I'm gonna do it. Hey dude, yeah, tattoos being a trend is sketchy, and it's hard because it's like, that's what my job rides off of, is people getting tattoos. People need to get tattoos for me to have a job. I just want to make sure that people get tattoos that they actually like and will like forever, because then my job doesn't mean much if people just get tattoos because it doesn't really matter to them. That waters down what I do. And then if a bunch of people regret their tattoos, that doesn't make my job look any more reasonable. Goodbye, bubs. And that's what concerns me, is I just don't think it's particularly beneficial to anyone, and that gets a little scary, that gets a little unfortunate, and I just don't want people to have tattoo regret, you know. That's just not a good thing. It's not very fun, and I just want to make that lesser in some capacity. So having it as a trend makes that more possible, and that's spooky. So be thoughtful about what you get and consider why you're wanting specific tattoos. Yeah. And that's the that on that. So some of it wants to come off, like this top one, and I'm scared. Oh, how? That hurt. I'm gonna have tears in my eyes. I look so scary. Oh god, okay. I'm really opening up here on the internet. Ow. Ooh, that one hurt. There's a lot of little hairs up here. Why do I do this to myself? Okay. Okay. And after this I'm gonna wax. But I wanted to wait for my scariest question to ask, like the scariest hot take rather, that I had to answer during that time and talk about. So I'm suffering for you so that I can say my thing that I'm afraid to say on the internet, in hopes that maybe people won't get as mad. Maybe. I don't care if you actually get mad. If you have an opinion about this issue, or this thought that I'm gonna talk about in a second, let's chat about it, because I'd love to chat about it. I think it's a very beneficial thing to talk about. I very much have strong opinions about this. I have very strong opinions about it. Sorry, I kept the door open this whole time, and it's probably super loud out there. Anyways, it's very meaningful to me. I have a lot of passion in this specific area, and to me I want to talk about it to try to help others and protect other people. So again, if you have a differing opinion on this, please, I would love to just have a discussion about this. So anyways, let me take off more of this. There's still more that's not quite dry yet, so I'll wait, but I'll take this off on camera because I said I will. I guess, sort of, and we'll continue on to my scary one. Okay, we will continue. One of my cats is yelling. Okay, so let's take off all of these bitches, and we're gonna get to our topic. So there's a specific thing I am very big into talking about. Aside from, sort of also connected to, but aside from like apprenticeship stuff, because if you've known my content in the past, especially on TikTok land, that's what I talked about a lot, is apprenticeship stuff, how to look for a good apprenticeship tips, how to find a tattooer that's good for you, that's reputable, all that. We'll chat about that today or possibly in the next video as well. But my topic today is specifically on ways that people try to get into the industry, but it doesn't work out very well for them. Because it's very counterproductive, even though that's not their goal. It's very counterproductive and actually does not help what they want at all. And I specifically talk about it because I think it's really bad for our community. And that is tattoo schools or something of the like. Tattoo schools, in some senses, depending on where you're at, might be slightly different. I think in general tattoo schools aren't a great idea. I don't think that they work very well for this type of industry, because it's just, there's so much information, it's so vast. Working directly with one person I think is the best way to go. But nonetheless, tattoo schools in general, especially the ones like what we have in Utah, are so not good for tattooing and doesn't get you into the career in the way that you really want. And it can hinder your chances of where you're gonna go in the future. Oh my god, this is so unenjoyable. At least I'm recording it so everyone can see it. Okay, let's be done with this. I'm not excited that I'm gonna wax after this. I'm really not hyped about it, but I've already committed, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, we're almost there. I'm gonna wipe the rest off because I don't give a care. Okay. I'm gonna wipe out the rest and then we're just gonna get right on to the topic. I have very strong opinions about tattoo schools. Tattoo schools, we have a lot of them in Utah. And essentially they all tend to have kind of different ways of doing things, but majority of the time they're super, super expensive, and very, very short. For the most part, they're like always way shorter than I think is necessary. I think a tattoo apprenticeship should be at least a year. Not super, super long. I don't think it should be like outrageously long, but like long enough for you to actually learn something valuable. Again, like I've said previous, is like, as a 5-year tattooer, I feel like I'm just getting to the point of starting to kind of understand certain things. It takes a minute, and I think it should take a minute, because sometimes jobs take a minute. I don't want to go to a doctor that went through a 3-day course for $3,000. And again, doctors are a little different, but still, I wouldn't want to go to someone that just barely fucking started. Oh, I just dropped all of these in the wet sink. All right, let's party. Tattoo schools are sketchy as shit. They're super, super expensive. A lot of the ones, at least in Utah, are like 3-day courses for legitimately, I'm not lying, like $3,000 or even more, or sometimes less if they're a little bit longer. But it's like you get some like cheap Dragon Hawk machine, and they just kind of teach you for 3 days and then tell you, yeah, this is super lucrative and you're gonna make so much money because tattooing is such a big money-making job. Sure, bro. And you could make a fair amount of money. Yeah, but you have to work really hard for it. And you need to somehow find the clientele, and if you have 3 days to learn how to somehow be able to make this a career, you're probably not going to learn all of the ways that you're going to be able to do the business side of tattooing or the tattooing sense. You can't learn how to become a fantastic tattooer that people want to get tattooed by in 3 days and be able to learn how to find the clientele, how to do social media, how to talk to people properly. I look so silly. How to talk to people properly, how to be able to make people feel comfortable. All of this type of stuff won't just happen instantly, and it shouldn't. It's not going to. Okay, this is gonna suck big time. I'm gonna be really careful. Oh, I got my lip way more than I wanted to. Okay. Oh, that hurty so bad, but I've got a little mustache, so I wanna try to get it gone, and I definitely didn't help. This is what I do for videos and for myself, but like it's a little bit more helpful doing it in videos because I feel like I'm getting more out of the suffering because other people get to be here with me. I don't know, tattoo schools are really, really sketchy. I would never do it. It's never going to help your career. Getting a traditional apprenticeship is going to be way, way, way safer. I think those types of tattoo schools are, in my opinion, very much like an MLM, in the sense that, yeah, you're gonna learn a very lucrative way to do business right now in 3 days, then you're gonna go out and make $100,000 and it's gonna be great and fantastic, and you're gonna be able to create a business and you're gonna be able to go and get a shop and you can have however many people underneath you. You know, it's very MLM-y, and I don't like that type of thing. If you know me in any sense, I am very, very anti-MLM. I want to use this other half, but I don't know how I'm going to. 1 second. So I've got my little baggie of all the things. I'm fairly well organized with how I do all of my stuff, but I've got this little thing that has all my teeth whitening stuff, my little like mighty patches that I have a bunch of. I have a derma roller. I've got all my little tools and little skizzers and all that type of jazz. Just have all of my like stuff, care stuff in that. So I'm gonna just slice this in half, and I'm gonna use it on my brows, I think. Oh, I got the hiccups. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of tattoo schools. I think they are a terrible hindrance to the people that want to become a tattooer. I've told this to many people, especially young ladies, because it seems to be mainly young ladies that this is targeted towards. They're specifically targeted to destroy your chances of being in the career. That's how I think. That's my opinion about it, genuinely. And if you have a different opinion, we can talk about it. But let me tell you one more thing about this topic and then we'll move on. So I went to an expo, Sandy Expo, and while I was there, I walked past a booth and I was like, who are these people? Why are they all looking at me so weird? Because I could tell they all just like looked at me really mean. I was like, what is going on? Should have realized this. They allowed a booth for in. Sorry to like straight up just tell you guys exactly who it is, but they let a specific shop in, and it's one of those MLM schooly type of things. And they're not like a specifically actual MLM, as far as I believe they aren't, but they're very MLM-y, so that's why I call them essentially an MLM. But nonetheless, Sugar Dolls was there, and I didn't realize it was them at first, because I was like, oh, why are all these ladies like looking at me like I just hurt them? And I realized the second go around of walking around, I saw their sign for like, oh, it's because I've made videos talking about how much I strongly dislike tattoo schools. They probably saw that video and were mad about it because I was exposing how horrendous their business is. And I'm not talking about these ladies that were actually mad at me. They probably, like, to some extent believed in the business that they were a part of. I mean, they are investing tons of money into it. Of course, they're wanting to have it work out for them. So I think that they just disliked me, you know, obviously because I kind of shat on the business that they're a part of. Completely fair. I see why they'd be angry about that. I just wish that those types of people could just have a discussion with me and we could talk about it, because I want to get these ladies into a situation where they're actually going to be able to make a career out of this. If you want to be a tattooer, I just would want you to be able to do it successfully. And these types of studios are not a way to do that. It is so anti-helpful to people. And it just makes me sad because it's so, in my eyes, very anti-woman, because it's specifically more or less targeted towards ladies, and it's very anti the people that happen to be there. And it's just, it makes me sad. It's so manipulative, and it's just bad for these people. And it's so targeted as a way of like, the tattoo community is like sketchy and people are unsafe, but like we're gonna help you and it's gonna be better because like we're on your side, so we're gonna manipulate you into giving us thousands of dollars and take your money and go and send you off into the world and just see how you do. That's not very womanly. That's not very strong pro-woman of you. That's not very strong pro-person in this industry that's new, that's easier to manipulate because they don't know everything yet. It's so anti-person, and I so strongly dislike it. I think it is so incredibly against what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to bring people into this community so that we can continue to have this go for several generations onward, where people can be safe and get tattoos in a good environment in the future. I want that. I would love, you know, people are gonna come after me, and I'm not gonna be able to tattoo one day, and other people are gonna take the reins, you know. And I just want those people that are continuing to tattoo to be in a good situation where they can learn and be able to tattoo people well. And that's just not a way to do it. And I just have so many opinions about it. But I'll keep it to that because I've been talking for forever. If you have opinions, please let me know down below. I'm very intrigued. Okay, we have 2 more things on the agenda today, and then I'm gonna get out of here and get to showering, and then I'm going to probably film a second part to this because I've got more stuff to talk about, and I've got more skincare and different self-care stuff to do. But I'm shaving my face just a little bit. It's easier to apply makeup and do all sorts of different things when your face is shaved, and I feel like it's just a way that I keep extra clean. But nonetheless, yeah, I think apprenticeships are sketchy. I think it's hard to find a safe apprenticeship, an apprenticeship where you're going to learn a lot. I think those things can be hard to find. Very hard to find. I did not find that. My apprenticeship was not fantastic, as most of you guys know. It could have been way worse. Just saying, could have been way, way, way worse. Definitely not the most productive way I could have gotten into the industry, and hey, if I knew better, I would have not done that. But that's the thing about apprenticeships. Most people don't know better because they don't know what they're doing, because they're just barely getting into this industry that they probably most of the time don't know a ton about. Even as folks that have maybe gotten a lot of tattoos in the past, have started their apprenticeship a little bit later on in life, maybe when they had more life development happen beforehand, it's a little bit easier to understand the ropes of things, but it's still an industry that is so particular, so specifically unique, and it's hard to understand absolutely everything about it. So it's hard to find an apprenticeship that you know is going to be safe, and also people are fibbers and are not particularly the most honest and fantastic some of the time, so you might expect a completely different thing from what you actually receive in an apprenticeship, so hence it's very difficult. But with that said, I still think that it's the best route to go, is doing a traditional apprenticeship. And again, it can be really hard to find, but if you can find an artist that you like, my nose feels so weird, an artist that you like, that you can connect with, that has a style that is similar to what you want to attempt to do in the future, then that's great. I think overall also, it can be both really hard to find that, especially finding a mentor that you trust and love. One quick tip for you today is going and getting tattooed, though, by these people. If there's specific people that you are intrigued by and might want to get an apprenticeship from, I would go and get tattoos from this person, chat with them, learn about them and what they do, and try to get some tips from them, or opinions, or mention like, hey, I'm actually looking into the industry, you know, that type of thing. Really, really helpful. Getting tattoos and going and being connected with the industry is really, really going to help you out. And simply having tattoos and have already attempted to become a part of the industry is going to definitely help you get an apprenticeship. So those are my tips, but nonetheless, a good apprenticeship that has its values and is trying to teach you things. It might be a little bit hard sometimes. You might need to do a fair amount of cleaning, or you might have to pay a little bit of money. Kind of depends. All of them have different positives and negatives, and it really kind of depends on you. and everyone's going to be different. Different areas are also have different laws. In a place like Oregon, you have to go to a tattoo school. In a place like Utah, you literally don't have to do shit because there's nothing you need to do here because we have no laws. By the way, I'm using one of these. This is going to be my last thing. I'm going to do a really good wash, and it's just a really good wash from Clinique, and it's a powder, and you just put a little bit of water in it, and then you have to mix it. Kind of weird, but I feel like it's probably beneficial to some extent. I don't know how, but maybe. I feel like there has to be a purpose behind why they do it like this. But yeah, apprenticeships can be really hard to find. It's just how it is. I don't know. It's just a hard industry. It's hard to find the ways to go and how to do things, and that's why I've been so connected to the internet and why I've done so much content, is I feel like there's a possibility of me being able to give some insight to some people, because I wish I had information that I could have found on the internet to learn how to do things, and I simply did not. And with that said, it's so difficult because every area is different, but I mean, for Utah, I definitely have a lot of opinions and thoughts about how we make things work here. I think it's hard to find an apprenticeship in Utah because there is literally no laws. Anyone can tattoo. Sorry about that. Okay, I put more water on it in hopes that it would make it kind of better for the time being, at least for the end of this video. Oh my god. Didn't mean to dramatically drop you like that. Yeah, I don't know. Apprenticeships are hard. They're just one of those things that are difficult. It's like, how can you find that good balance between difficult enough without being like abusive or genuinely really not good for you, for your mental health, for your physical health? There's so many different things that go into it, and it's like, how do you even do that properly? It's hard. And again, it's just so specific and so niche depending on the area and who you are, that it's even hard sometimes to like throw out tips and ideas out there to the people. Oh, this is like totally messed up. Because it's just so niche and every area is different, every law is different. It's just, it gets so wild. And before anyone says something, you can't see it anymore because it came off, but this is Mary Kay. Yes, I know. I just talked a whole bunch about how much I despise MLMs. I got this thing, literally haven't changed the batteries once. I got this when I was like 13 or 14. I didn't know that Mary Kay was like bad or not fantastic because it was an MLM and they're manipulative and not great for people. I was like 13. I didn't know it quite then. I started learning a little bit after that what MLMs were and how not awesome they are. So nonetheless, yes, I own one MLM thing. I didn't know, and hey, I'm gonna get my use out of it because I've had it for forever. I don't know, it's definitely like helps get a little bit of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Exfoliation on the face, which is good, and helps with like my piercings and stuff too, to get out some of like the skincare stuff that I use on them. And yeah, as an exfoliant, it's kind of helpful and really gets things in there. So I use it, but not that often because it's so exfoliating. So I use it maybe at most once a week, just so it gives me a little something. But nonetheless, overall, those are the topics that I wanted to talk about, at least for this video, but we'll get into more stuff as time goes on. I think, I want to do another emoji in the comments down below, but I'm trying to think of what. If there's something, okay, that's going to be the goal. If you're still watching this video and you're already past this point, I want you to leave an emoji in the comments, if you may, if you would like to, and in your eyes, pick one that's closest to theme of skincare or self-care in some capacity, anything kind of closely related to that in some capacity. Just see what there is in the emoji section, and let me know what the closest one is. I'd be curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on that, and figure out what you guys select. But nonetheless, let us clean this off and we'll get going. I think that sometimes even just like recording this type of stuff can be something that holds myself accountable for trying to do my skincare and trying to do self-care stuff. So it helps me, and also it can be a reminder for other people to do self-care things. I think it's really important, no matter what you do or how you do life, just taking care of yourself and doing good things for yourself will make you feel more put together, make you feel a little cleaner and nicer and fresher and more motivated and more excited about life. And I think it can just be positive for people. And it's, for me, sometimes it's like, even if maybe I don't like myself one day, maybe I'm struggling a lot one day, or whichever, and we all have our issues and our thoughts and our, you know, things we struggle with. And sometimes taking care of oneself, even if it might not feel worth it, even if I might not care about myself that day, forcing myself into even doing self-care, it's almost like smiling at yourself in the mirror to like convince yourself you're happy. Sometimes those little things actually kind of help. Doing skincare, even if I might not like myself that day, I still feel fresher. I still feel kind of nicer looking at the end, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of feel nice. I feel a little clean. Ooh, my face looks nice. And it's like, oh, I feel now slightly more positive about myself because of that. You know, boom. Fucking turning it all the way around to make it work for you. It's a good thing. It's one of those things, I guess. But yeah, so I suppose that is that on that. I will see y'all around. I really appreciate you being here for this video, and I will perhaps keep filming after I'm done with my shower. So anyways, I really appreciate you being around here. Thanks for listening to my thoughts. If you have any opinions or even some different disagreements that you might have with some of the thoughts that I have shared with you today, please let me know. I think that that's a good thing, and I think that discussions on these types of topics can be beneficial for all. So please, I would love to see your comments down below. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.